It was just another ordinary day for Elon Musk. The tech billionaire, often seen zooming between meetings, working on SpaceX launches, or driving his Tesla innovations forward, found himself in an entirely unexpected place, a busy street corner in downtown Los Angeles. His mind was preoccupied with 1,000 thoughts, upcoming projects, new ventures, and breakthroughs in the world of electric vehicles. But as he strolled down the street, something caught his eye. Amid the throngs of bustling pedestrians, a young girl stood by the side of the road, holding a small, makeshift bouquet of flowers in her hands. She was no more than 12 or 13, wearing an oversized jacket that looked too large for her slender frame, a worn-out pair of shoes, and an expression of determination that seemed at odds with her age. Elon's first instinct was to walk past. There were always people selling things on the streets, right? It was common, almost invisible in the grand scheme of his world. But there was something different about this girl, something that tugged at his curiosity. Her gaze met his for just a split second, but in that fleeting moment, something about her eyes stopped him in his tracks. There was a fire in them, a hunger not for wealth or fame, but for something much deeper, something he hadn't felt in a long time. It wasn't the desperation that often comes from those who struggle, it was a quiet resolve. A sense that, despite her circumstances, she wasn't backing down. Without really thinking, Elon slowed his pace and walked over to her. The noise of the city seemed to fade as he approached, his mind momentarily clearing of the usual clutter. "Hey," he said, his voice low but friendly. "What's going on here?" The girl looked up at him, a bit startled at first. Maybe she didn't expect anyone to stop. Maybe, like so many others, she thought that people like him, those with power, wealth, and fame, would never notice her. "I'm selling flowers," she said, her voice small but firm. "For my family." The simplicity of the words took Elon by surprise. Most people wouldn't think to sell flowers, especially on a busy street where no one had time to stop. There was something humbling in the way she spoke, as though this was just another part of her day, another step in a long journey she had grown used to. "Your family?" Elon asked, his curiosity piqued. "What do you mean?" The girl hesitated for just a moment before speaking again, her gaze dropping to the flowers in her hands. "My mom's sick," she said quietly. "My dad can't work much anymore. I'm just trying to help, you know? I don't want them to worry." Elon could hear the weight of her words, the quiet strength behind them. Here was a child, barely old enough to fully understand the burden of the world, who had taken it upon herself to make sure her family didn't suffer. Her story wasn't unique, there were countless others in the world facing hardships, struggling just to make ends meet. But something about this girl, standing on this street corner, offering something as simple as a flower, made it different. It made her, for that moment, the center of Elon's universe. He stood there for a long time, staring at the girl, wondering how someone so young could carry such an immense burden. And yet, there she was, selling flowers with a quiet strength that made him realize something. In the midst of all his accomplishments, building rockets, changing the future of transportation, dreaming of colonizing Mars, he had lost touch with the most fundamental thing of all. The human connection, the desire to make a real difference in the lives of others. He wasn't just looking at a little girl selling flowers. He was looking at someone who had been forced to grow up far too quickly, someone who knew what it meant to fight for something bigger than herself. "Do you want to come with me for a minute?" Elon asked, surprising even himself with his words. "I'd like to talk more." She blinked, taken aback by the offer. Maybe she thought he was joking, or perhaps she was simply too used to people ignoring her. But before she could respond, Elon gave her a warm, encouraging smile, hoping to ease her uncertainty. "I'm serious," he added. "I'm not asking for flowers. I just think you have something important to say, and I want to hear it." There was a pause, and then, slowly, she nodded. A small, hesitant step forward. For Elon, this was more than just a random encounter. It felt like a moment of awakening, as if the universe had nudged him in a new direction. There was something in this girl's spirit that reminded him of why he started doing what he did in the first place, why he cared so much about changing the world. And in that quiet, unspoken moment, he knew that what he was about to do next would not only impact her life, it would change his own in ways he could never have anticipated. Elon and the young girl walked away from the busy street corner, the sounds of the city fading into the background as they found a quiet bench under the shade of a nearby tree. It was a stark contrast to the chaotic world Elon was used to, but in that moment, the simplicity felt right. He gestured for her to sit down, and she hesitated for a second before doing so, her eyes still wary, unsure of what was going on. "What's your name?" Elon asked gently, leaning forward slightly, wanting to make her feel at ease. She shifted a little, her small hands gripping the bouquet of flowers tightly. I don't really have a name that matters," she said, looking down at her shoes, her voice barely above a whisper. Elon's heart sank for a moment. It was clear that life had already taught this girl to be humble, to not expect much from the world, not even recognition. But that only made him more determined to hear her story. "Your name matters to me," Elon said, his voice firm but kind. "We all have a story. What's yours?" The girl hesitated, then nodded as if deciding it was okay to open up just a little. "My name's Lily," she said quietly, her eyes meeting his. "I've been selling flowers for a while now. For my mom, for my dad." Elon nodded, giving her space to continue. There was something in her tone, in the way she spoke, that told him there was more beneath the surface, more than just flowers and hard work. There was a deeper struggle, something that spoke to the heart of her character. "My mom got sick about a year ago," Lily continued, her voice now tinged with emotion. "She used to work in a store, but after she got sick, she couldn't anymore. And my dad, he had an accident at work. He can't do heavy labor anymore. So I started selling flowers. I wanted to help, but I don't know. It feels like no matter how hard I work, it's never enough." Elon listened intently, not interrupting. He could see the weight of her words, the pain that lingered behind her eyes. This wasn't just about selling flowers, it was about survival. It was about trying to make ends meet in a world that seemed so unfair. "It must be hard," Elon said, his voice soft with understanding. "But you're doing something not a lot of people would do. You're taking care of your family." Lily shrugged, a small, bitter smile forming on her face. "I guess. But it's hard. Sometimes it feels like it doesn't matter how much I try. I'm just stuck." Elon leaned back against the bench, taking in what she had said. There was a certain truth in her words, a harsh reality that many people faced, yet few acknowledged. The world could be a place full of dreams and possibilities for the lucky few, but for many, it felt like a never-ending battle to get by. "I think you're doing something important," Elon said, his voice gaining strength. "You're showing a kind of determination I don't see very often. A lot of people might give up, but you keep going. That's something special." Lily looked at him for a moment, her expression still uncertain. Maybe she wasn't used to hearing praise. Maybe no one had ever told her she was special. But as her gaze met his, Elon saw something in her, a spark, a potential waiting to be unlocked. For a long time, Elon had been driven by his vision of a future where technology and space exploration could change the world. But this encounter, this conversation, made him realize that true change didn't always come from rockets or electric cars. Sometimes, it came from the people who were willing to fight against the odds, who were willing to show up every day, even when the world seemed stacked against them. As Lily sat there, her hands still clutching the flowers, Elon's thoughts began to shift. He had spent so much time focused on grand, futuristic ideas that he had forgotten one important thing, the human element. The people. The ones whose stories weren't on the front pages of newspapers or in the headlines of space missions. The days that followed were unlike anything Lily had ever experienced. Elon kept in touch with her regularly, checking in on her, offering guidance, and making sure she knew she had someone who believed in her. At first, Lily wasn't sure what to make of it. A billionaire, a man who had reshaped entire industries, paying attention to a young girl like her? It was surreal. She'd grown up in a world where no one ever really took an interest in her struggles, much less offered to help her rise above them. But Elon's words stayed with her, simmering in the back of her mind. "You're capable of more than just this." Those words echoed over and over again, as if a door had been opened to a possibility she never dared to imagine. It wasn't just about selling flowers anymore. It was about something bigger, something far beyond the small, dimly lit corner of the city where she'd spent countless hours trying to make a few extra dollars to help her family. And yet, with every conversation, every new idea Elon shared with her, Lily began to realize that her life didn't have to stay small. She had the ability to change it, to shape her own future in ways she hadn't even begun to comprehend. Elon's vision for the future of humanity, the bold, ambitious plans for space exploration, electric cars, and sustainable energy, had always been driven by a desire to do something that mattered. To leave a lasting impact on the world. And in a strange way, that vision began to bleed into Lily's life, shifting her perspective on what was possible. The more she thought about it, the more she realized that her struggles weren't something to be ashamed of. They were the very things that had shaped her. They were what made her resilient, what gave her the strength to keep going when others would have quit. She might not have had the resources or the connections that people like Elon did, but she had something equally powerful, her determination. And that was a strength that no amount of money or influence could buy. Over the next few weeks, Elon encouraged her to explore ideas, any ideas that sparked her interest, that ignited a fire within her. He shared stories of his own journey, the early days of his companies, the countless failures that had led to success. "Failure is part of the process," he'd tell her. "It's not the end, it's just the beginning of something new." And so, Lily started to dream. At first, the dreams were small. Maybe she could sell flowers in different neighborhoods. Maybe she could expand and find other kids who wanted to help her. But as the days passed and Elon continued to mentor her, her ideas grew bolder, more daring. What if she could create something more? What if she could build a business that helped other kids like her? What if she could create a space where children could learn how to work hard, just like she had? The thought was overwhelming, but exhilarating. She'd never considered starting a business before, let alone a business that could help people who needed it most. But with Elon's encouragement, she started to outline her vision. She wanted to create a community-based project, something that would teach kids the value of hard work, provide a way for them to help their families, and give them hope for a future they could be proud of. Lily threw herself into this new goal with everything she had. Every day after school, she would sit down with Elon over video calls, brainstorming, planning, and refining her ideas. She'd come up with a new plan, only for him to challenge her with questions that pushed her to think even bigger, even further. She was no longer just a girl selling flowers on the street corner. She was a young entrepreneur with a mission, a dream to create something that could change the lives of other kids who were just like her. And, slowly, she began to see that the impossible wasn't so far out of reach after all. It took hard work and perseverance, but with every setback, she learned something new. Elon was patient, but he never sugarcoated the challenges. He reminded her that if she wanted to make a real difference, she had to be ready to face them head-on. "I'm not asking you to change the world in a day," he would tell her. "But if you keep going, keep dreaming big, you'll get there." It was the first time in her life that someone had told her she could do anything, no matter where she came from. And more than that, Elon showed her that success didn't come from wealth or connections, it came from persistence, from believing in something greater than yourself. In the process, Lily began to see the world through a different lens. She wasn't just a girl trying to survive, she was someone who had the power to create. She realized that every obstacle she had faced, every difficulty, every moment of doubt, had prepared her for this journey. And though the path ahead was uncertain, she now felt ready to face it with confidence. For the first time in a long while, Lily was no longer defined by her circumstances. She was defined by her vision, her resilience, and her unwavering determination to succeed. And as she looked at the future, she no longer saw a world full of closed doors. Instead, she saw a world filled with endless possibilities. And all it took was a chance encounter with a billionaire who believed in her. If you don't try, you'll never know what you're capable of. I didn't start SpaceX with a guarantee of success. I didn't start Tesla with a guarantee of success. You have to take risks, and sometimes you fall. But when you do, you get back up and keep going. And that's how you grow. That's how you build something that matters. She felt a sense of calm wash over her, as though Elon's words had given her permission to feel scared, but also to keep going anyway. He was right. Everything in her life had been a risk, selling flowers on the street, trying to make ends meet for her family, and now, trying to build something bigger. She had already taken the hardest steps. The rest was just about pushing forward, even when it felt uncertain. Okay, Lily said, her voice quiet but filled with newfound determination. Let's do it. Let's take it to the next level. Elon smiled, a look of pride in his eyes. I knew you'd say that. You're going to do great, Lily. You've got the heart, the drive. That's all you need to succeed. And so, a new chapter began for Lily. With Elon's backing and the support of a network that believed in her vision, she started to take the first concrete steps toward building her business. It wasn't easy. There were meetings, presentations, and pitches to investors, things that were completely foreign to her. But with each challenge, she felt more equipped to handle it. With every no, she became more determined to prove them wrong. With every yes, she knew she was one step closer to making her dream a reality. But as the project moved forward, the weight of responsibility began to settle in. Lily had always been someone who worked alone, someone who carried her own burdens. Now, she was stepping into a new world where the stakes were much higher. It was no longer just about selling flowers to help her family. It was about building a business that could change lives. The pressure was intense, but with Elon's guidance, she learned how to manage it, how to see every setback as an opportunity to grow stronger. As the weeks passed, Lily found herself gaining confidence, something she never thought would happen. She was no longer the shy girl standing on a street corner, hoping for a little help. She was becoming a leader, a force in her own right, and with Elon's support, she started to believe that anything was possible. But despite all of the excitement and progress, there was still one question that lingered in her mind: could she really do this? Could someone like her, someone with no formal education, no experience in business, truly build something that would make a difference? The answer wasn't clear yet, but for the first time, Lily felt like she had the tools to find out. Lily's heart raced as she stared at her phone screen, reading Elon's message once more. It wasn't the first time he had checked in on her progress, but today's message felt different. There was a sense of urgency in his words, a clear determination to push things forward. He wasn't just checking in, he was preparing her for something big. The message read, "I think it's time we move beyond just talking about this. I want to offer you something that could change everything for you. Let's talk today, when you're ready." Lily could hardly believe what she was reading. Was Elon serious? He had already supported her in ways she never imagined, but now, it seemed like he was ready to do more, much more. She spent the next hour pacing around her room, feeling a mixture of excitement and doubt. What could he mean? She thought. Could he really offer me something that would change my life? When the call finally came through, her hands were shaking. Elon appeared on the screen, his usual calm demeanor unmistakable as he greeted her. "Hey, Lily. How's everything going?" Elon's voice was relaxed, but his eyes showed a deeper intensity. "I've been talking with my team about your project, and we think it's time to take things to the next level. I want to offer you something that could really help you make this work." Lily swallowed hard. She had no idea what he was about to say, but she could feel the weight of the moment. For the first time, she realized that her dream, her vision, wasn't just some far-off fantasy. It was within reach. Elon Musk was about to offer her something that could change everything. "What do you mean?" Lily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I want to invest in your business, Elon said, matter-of-factly. I believe in what you're trying to build. You've shown that you have the drive, the determination, and the heart to make this work. And I want to help you scale it, take it beyond what you could have ever imagined on your own. Lily's breath caught in her chest. Invest? He was offering to invest in her idea. The girl who had once been standing on a street corner with nothing but a bouquet of flowers was now being offered a chance to create something real, something that could change her life, and the lives of so many others. But, Lily began, her voice trembling, I don't have experience. I've never run a business before. What if I mess up? What if it doesn't work out? Elon smiled reassuringly, sensing her fear. Lily, you've already done more than most people ever do. You've built something from the ground up, with nothing but hard work and determination. That's more than most entrepreneurs have when they start. The rest? That's where I come in. Lily felt a wave of emotion wash over her. She had worked so hard for this, and yet, she had never expected this kind of support. She wasn't sure she was ready for the responsibility that came with it, but one thing was clear, this was the opportunity of a lifetime. And it was something she couldn't let slip away. Are you sure about this? She asked, trying to wrap her mind around what was happening. I mean, I'm just a kid. I don't know what I'm doing. I just want to help people like me. That's exactly why I believe in you, Elon replied. You're not trying to make a quick buck or chase after fame. You want to make a difference. And that's why I want to be part of it. We can figure out the details together. This is just the beginning, Lily. She could hardly believe what she was hearing. It wasn't just a business investment. It was a partnership, a mentor guiding her through uncharted waters. And she knew that with Elon's expertise, she could learn more than she ever thought possible. I don't know what to say, Lily whispered. This is huge. I never imagined anything like this could happen. I know, Elon said, nodding. But it's happening. And now, it's time for you to take the next step. You've shown me that you're ready. I wouldn't be offering this if I didn't believe in you. Lily sat in silence for a moment, the magnitude of the offer slowly sinking in. Her hands were still shaking, but it wasn't from fear anymore. It was from the sheer weight of possibility. I won't let you down, she finally said, her voice firm, filled with newfound resolve. I promise. Elon nodded, a slight smile on his face. I know you won't. You've already shown what you're capable of. The conversation shifted after that, discussing the next steps, how they would structure the partnership, and what kind of support he would provide. But Lily wasn't listening to the details just yet. All she could think about was the moment she had just experienced, a moment that could change the entire course of her life. For the first time, she wasn't just the girl selling flowers. She was someone with a vision, someone with a chance to make a lasting impact. She was no longer just fighting to survive. She was fighting to build something better, something that could help others just like her. As the call ended, and Lily sat in her room, she took a deep breath and looked at the flowers on her desk. They no longer seemed like a symbol of struggle, but of opportunity. She was ready to take that next step. She was ready to show the world what she could do. And with Elon Musk by her side, she knew anything was possible. Lily's life took on a whirlwind pace after that phone call. Within days, she was stepping into a world she had only ever dreamed of, business meetings, networking events, and brainstorming sessions with Elon's team. The sudden shift was overwhelming, but it was also exhilarating. For the first time in her life, she felt like she was part of something that could truly make a difference, something that could change the course of her future, and others too. Her first meeting with Elon's team was a blur of faces, ideas, and plans. They were all accomplished professionals, many of them experts in various fields, from marketing to finance to technology. And then there was Lily, the 13-year-old girl who had once stood on a street corner, selling flowers to help her struggling family. She felt like a fish out of water, uncertain about her place among these seasoned professionals. But as the meeting went on, something shifted inside of her. The team didn't treat her like a child or a charity case. They treated her like a business partner, someone with ideas that mattered. They listened intently as she shared her vision, a business that could help other kids like her, teach them about hard work and resilience, and provide them with opportunities to help their families. "I think it's a brilliant idea," one of the team members said after Lily finished explaining. "But we need to refine it. We need to think about how to scale it, how to make it sustainable. We can't just focus on the local level. If we want this to work, we need to think bigger." Lily nodded, her mind spinning with possibilities. She had never thought about scaling her idea before. She had always been focused on the immediate, the now, how to make money today to support her family tomorrow. But this new way of thinking opened up a whole new world of possibilities. Over the next few weeks, the team worked closely with Lily, helping her refine her business model and make it more structured. They went over everything from budgeting to marketing strategies, teaching her the ins and outs of running a business. It was a steep learning curve, and at times, Lily felt like she was in way over her head. But every time she wanted to give up, every time the pressure felt like too much, she reminded herself of why she was doing this. She wasn't just building a business, she was building something that could help others who had been forgotten, people like her who had always been overlooked by the world. One of the biggest challenges she faced was the technical side of things: how to set up a website, how to use social media to promote her business, how to track sales and inventory. These were things she had never even thought about, let alone had experience with. But Elon was always there, offering guidance, answering her questions, and reminding her that it was okay to not know everything. "It's all about learning as you go," he told her during one of their video calls. "No one starts out knowing everything. You're doing better than most people who start their own businesses. You're taking the first step, and that's the hardest part." With Elon's encouragement, Lily started to feel more confident. Slowly but surely, she began to understand the business side of things. She learned how to manage expenses, how to market her products, and how to build relationships with potential clients. Every challenge became an opportunity to learn, and she embraced each one with the same determination that had gotten her this far. But it wasn't just about learning the technical skills. As the project moved forward, Lily realized that the biggest challenge she faced was within herself. She had always been the one to carry the weight of the world on her shoulders, taking care of her family, making sure her mother had everything she needed, helping her father get back on his feet. She had always done it alone. Now, she had to learn how to delegate. How to trust others to handle the tasks she couldn't do. How to ask for help when she needed it. For someone who had spent so much of her life in survival mode, relying only on herself, this was the hardest part of all. But slowly, Lily began to open up. She started to lean on Elon's team more, asking for advice when she needed it and letting them take on some of the load. It wasn't easy, she still had moments when she doubted herself and wanted to take on everything herself. But over time, she learned that the success of her business didn't just depend on her, it depended on the people who were supporting her. And as the business began to grow, so did Lily. She found herself stepping into a leadership role, guiding her team, making decisions, and building relationships with the kids and families who would benefit from her project. She was no longer just a girl selling flowers. She was a young entrepreneur, leading a business with a vision to help others rise above their circumstances. Elon was proud of her progress, but he never let up. He pushed her, challenged her, and encouraged her to keep dreaming bigger. "This is just the beginning, Lily," he reminded her during one of their calls. "You have the potential to do so much more. Keep pushing yourself." And Lily did. She never lost sight of the goal. She knew that every obstacle she faced, every challenge she overcame, was taking her one step closer to building something truly impactful. The journey wasn't easy, and there were times when she questioned herself. But with each small victory, Lily became more and more convinced that this wasn't just a dream, it was her reality. And she was going to make it work. As Lily's business began to gain momentum, the pressure also intensified. It had been months since Elon's initial offer to invest in her project, and although things were moving in the right direction, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. Her business was growing, slowly, but steadily, but the weight of the responsibility was starting to take its toll on her. She had expanded her idea beyond flowers to offer various programs that helped other kids in her community learn valuable skills while supporting their families. It was a success on paper, but it still felt fragile. The turning point came one rainy afternoon when she received an email from one of her key investors. The message was blunt: the numbers aren't adding up. You're running out of funds, and if you don't secure additional investment soon, we may have to shut everything down. Lily stared at the screen, her heart sinking. The words seemed to echo in her head. She had been so focused on the day-to-day work, on the meetings, the programs, and the kids she was helping, that she hadn't fully realized how thin the margins were. The business was running on the barest of budgets, and now, it was teetering on the edge of collapse. She picked up the phone and dialed Elon's number, feeling the weight of the situation pressing down on her. It rang twice before he picked up. "Hey, Lily, what's going on?" Elon's voice was calm, but there was an underlying sense of urgency. I don't know how to say this, but we're in trouble," Lily said, her voice shaky. "One of our investors just pulled out. The numbers aren't adding up, and I don't know how to keep this going." There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Elon was no stranger to setbacks. He had faced countless obstacles throughout his career, but hearing Lily's distress made him realize just how high the stakes were for her. This wasn't just a business venture. It was Lily's dream, her life's work. She had poured everything into it, her time, her energy, her heart, and now it was at risk. "You're not alone, Lily," Elon said finally, his voice steady. "We'll figure this out. You've already shown me that you have the resilience to keep going, even when things get tough. This is just another hurdle." Lily took a deep breath. She trusted Elon, his words had always given her the strength to push forward, but this felt different. She had worked so hard to get to this point, and now, everything was hanging in the balance. "I don't know if I can do this," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "What if I've failed? What if I'm not good enough?" Elon's tone softened. "Lily, failure is part of the process. It's not the end, it's just part of the journey. What you've already accomplished is more than most people ever will. You've built something from nothing. That's something to be proud of. But, what if it's not enough?" Lily replied, feeling the weight of the uncertainty that loomed over her. Elon was quiet for a moment before responding. "What if this is the moment you need to rise up? To show yourself, and everyone else, that no matter how many times you fall, you can get back up? You've learned more than you realize, and you're not alone in this. You've got a team, and you've got me. We'll find a way forward." His words were like a spark. A flicker of hope in the darkness. For the first time in weeks, Lily began to see things clearly. Yes, the situation was dire, but she had come too far to give up now. This wasn't just about saving her business, it was about showing the world that she could make it, no matter what. The next few days were a blur of frantic meetings, late nights, and phone calls with investors. Lily poured everything she had into her pitches, reminding them of the vision she had for the future, a vision that wasn't just about profits, but about helping kids like her rise above their circumstances. She was no longer asking for help, she was showing them the value of what she had built, the impact it could have on others. And slowly, the tide began to turn. A few investors who had initially been skeptical started to come back, reassured by her determination and the promise of her business's long-term potential. Elon continued to support her, offering advice and introductions to people who could help. It wasn't easy, and there were many moments of doubt along the way, but Lily didn't give up. Finally, after weeks of intense work, the funds were secured. The business was saved. But more importantly, Lily had learned something crucial about herself: she was capable of far more than she had ever realized. The challenges she had faced weren't just obstacles, they were lessons, teaching her resilience, determination, and the value of never giving up. As she sat in her office late one night, looking out over the city, Lily couldn't help but smile. The journey hadn't been easy. It had been filled with doubt, fear, and setbacks. But through it all, she had learned that success wasn't defined by the obstacles you faced, it was defined by how you overcame them. And with that, she knew she was ready for whatever came next. With the funding secured, Lily felt as though a weight had been lifted off her shoulders, but the real test was just beginning. Now that the business had been stabilized, it was time to prove that it wasn't just about surviving, it was about thriving. The pressure was still there, but this time, it felt different. She had already come so far. She had fought through obstacles that many would have considered insurmountable, and she had emerged stronger on the other side. But now, she was about to face one of her biggest challenges yet, scaling her vision, and making it truly impactful on a larger scale. She had always been driven by the desire to help others. The kids she worked with, the families she supported, they were at the heart of everything she did. And as her business began to grow, so did her vision. She wanted to help more children, provide more opportunities for families to rise above their struggles, and create a legacy that would last long after she was gone. But scaling a business wasn't as simple as it seemed. There were marketing campaigns to plan, new programs to develop, and most importantly, a strategy to ensure that everything remained sustainable. Lily had learned the hard way how important it was to have a clear plan in place, and she was determined not to make the same mistakes again. Elon, ever the mentor, remained by her side throughout the process. They had regular meetings, where he provided invaluable insights into growing a business while staying true to its core values. It wasn't always easy. Some days, Lily felt as though she were drowning in the logistics of it all. There were endless meetings, emails, and decisions to make. But with Elon's guidance, she started to gain confidence. She learned how to delegate, how to build a team she could rely on, and how to keep her focus on the bigger picture. The first major milestone came when they launched a new program designed to teach young people essential life skills, from financial literacy to leadership. It was a bold move, and there were doubts along the way, but the response was overwhelming. Parents were grateful for the opportunities it provided their children, and the kids themselves were eager to learn and grow. But as the program gained traction, Lily realized that her mission was about more than just teaching skills, it was about changing the mindset of an entire generation. She wanted to instill in them a sense of possibility, to show them that their circumstances didn't have to define them. She wanted to create a world where kids from all backgrounds could dream big and work toward those dreams, no matter how difficult the journey might be. One of the proudest moments for Lily came when she received a letter from one of the first students to complete the life skills program. The student had come from a similar background, one filled with hardship and uncertainty, but through the program, they had discovered a new sense of purpose. The letter read, "I never thought I could be something more than what my life looked like. But thanks to this program, I see now that I can do anything. You gave me hope, and for the first time, I believe in myself." Lily held the letter in her hands, feeling tears well up in her eyes. It was a moment she would never forget. It wasn't just about the business, it was about the people it helped. The kids who had once thought their dreams were out of reach now had the tools to make them a reality. As Lily looked around at the growing success of her business, she realized how far she had come. It hadn't been easy, and it hadn't been without its challenges. There were moments when she doubted herself, when the weight of responsibility felt unbearable. But through it all, she had never given up. She had learned that success wasn't measured by how quickly you achieved your goals, it was measured by the lives you touched along the way. And as she reflected on her journey, she knew that it wasn't just her own triumph that mattered. It was the triumph of everyone who had been a part of her journey, the investors who believed in her, the team who supported her, and most of all, the kids whose lives were being transformed. Lily's success was no longer just her own. It was a success shared by everyone who had helped her along the way, and it was a success that would continue to grow, long after she had achieved her initial dream. But there was still one last challenge she needed to overcome. Despite all her achievements, despite the growth of the business, there was one thing that lingered in the back of Lily's mind. Could she truly live up to the expectations that had been placed on her? Was she really making the impact she had dreamed of? Or was she just another success story in a world full of them? It was then that Elon reminded her of something important. Lily, it's not about perfection. It's about progress. You've already shown the world what you're capable of. You've already proven that no matter where you come from, you can rise above your circumstances and create something that lasts. And with that, Lily understood. It wasn't about reaching the pinnacle of success. It was about the journey, the ups and downs, the triumphs and setbacks, and the impact she could make along the way. Her business wasn't just a venture. It was a movement. A movement to show the world that resilience, determination, and hope could change everything. As Lily continued to lead her growing business, the lessons she had learned became clearer than ever. She had fought tooth and nail to get to where she was, and in doing so, she had discovered something that far surpassed any of the goals she had originally set for herself. It was a deeper understanding of what truly mattered in life: resilience, community, and the ability to inspire others to believe in themselves, even when everything seemed impossible. Looking back, the struggles and setbacks that once seemed so daunting had become the foundation of her success. They were not obstacles to overcome, but rather stepping stones, each one teaching her something essential about life, about people, and about herself. Lily had never set out to build a business for the sake of profit. She hadn't wanted fame or recognition. She had simply wanted to help others like her, children growing up in difficult circumstances, feeling as though they had no way out. Through her work, she had shown them that there was always a way forward, always a chance to rise above adversity. But even more than that, she had learned to believe in herself. In the beginning, when she had stood on the street corner selling flowers, she had only been focused on survival. It was the pressure of her circumstances that had driven her. But somewhere along the way, that changed. She realized that survival wasn't enough. She wanted to thrive, not just for herself, but for others. And as she looked around at the impact her business was having on her community, Lily knew that she had achieved something far more important than financial success. She had created a space where kids no longer felt powerless, where they could dream, work, and grow into the people they had always wanted to be. Lily's story became an inspiration to others, a testament to the power of perseverance and the human spirit. But for Lily, the true success wasn't in the accolades or the recognition, it was in the lives she had touched. It was in the moments when a child came to her and said, "Because of what you did, I believe I can be something more." Her journey had come full circle. She had started as a young girl with a simple goal, to help her family, and had ended up changing the lives of countless others in the process. Through all the uncertainty, all the struggles, there had been one thing that had kept her going: the belief that she could make a difference. And in the end, that belief had made all the difference. Elon, who had stood by her every step of the way, remained a constant source of support and guidance. But as much as he had taught her about business, he had also taught her about something more important: the power of human connection. "It's not about the technology, or the business models, or even the money," he had said to her once. "It's about the people. It's about how you help them see the possibilities in their own lives." And that was what Lily had done. She had helped people see their potential. She had given them the tools to succeed, and in doing so, had unlocked a world of opportunity for them. As she stood before a group of children at one of her program's graduation ceremonies, Lily couldn't help but smile. The room was filled with proud parents, teachers, and mentors, all gathered to celebrate the success of these young individuals who had completed her program. These kids had once been like her, fighting to survive, unsure of what the future held. But now, they were standing tall, ready to take on the world. And it was all thanks to the belief that one person, just one person, could make a difference. She had been that person for them, just as Elon had been that person for her. Lily realized that the lesson she had learned through it all was simple, yet profound: no matter how small the action, no matter how big the challenge, one person's courage and determination could change everything. She had started with a dream to help her family, but in the process, she had created a legacy that would continue to grow and impact generations to come. As she looked out at the faces of the children before her, Lily knew that this was just the beginning. She had proven that resilience, hope, and hard work could turn any dream into reality. And with that realization, she knew there was nothing that could stop her now. She had learned the most important lesson of all: never give up, no matter the odds. Because in the end, it's the belief in oneself and in others that makes the greatest difference.